So there are a few different iPhones that I've had in my day that I just honestly, I will just always love these iPhones no matter what Apple does in the future, and especially no matter what Apple does with these iPhones, I will always love them and I think they're super, super important. Now we have to start off with the iPhone 6s. That, in my opinion, is probably one of the most important iPhones Apple has ever made. Now I wanted to start with these because these are kind of newer. I could throw in like the iPhone 4 in here as well, and maybe even the iPhone 5. But with the iPhone 6s, what was very interesting was that this iPhone was coming off the backs of the iPhone 6, which sold extremely insanely well. Unfortunately, Apple kind of cut that iPhone short a little bit in terms of lifespan because they had that bend gate issue, which is interesting because my iPhone 6s did end up bending. I don't know if you can tell that little bend there. It's actually a pretty big bend in real life. Very, very interesting. Build quality was exactly the same. It was supposed to be a little bit more premium, but it doesn't really look like it because mine bent. But the big thing about the iPhone 6s was the power within it. This was the first iPhone to bring 4K camera, first one to bring Force Touch, first one to bring Touch ID 2, first one to bring 2 gigabytes of RAM as well. This iPhone at that moment had it all. And this was honestly where Apple kind of started putting in a bunch of power within their devices. I mean, before they were smooth and everything, but this one, they really kind of went all in all. Yeah, this was also the last one to have a headphone jack as well, kind of. The iPhone SE first generation was kind of there too, which brings me to my next iPhone that I will always love, which is the first generation iPhone SE. And this, in my opinion, is probably also up there with the iPhone 6s. This is a beautiful iPhone that Apple made back in 2016. And Apple, this was the perfect budget phone they could have made. They took that body of the iPhone 5S, which was just 2 years old at that moment. They kept it in that same exact premium body. They cheapened the price tag by quite a bit, but they gave us almost the exact same internals as the iPhone 6s, which was amazing, but they didn't give us a severely outdated body. That is the problem they're experiencing nowadays with phones like the iPhone SE3 that I have here. This body is just severely outdated. With the iPhone SE1, that was not the case. This is not a severely outdated body. And so that is another massive thing I loved about the iPhone SE first generation. Yeah, you didn't have Force Touch and you didn't have maybe like the best camera or front camera or whatever, but I still think this phone was very capable, and I still think this is a very, very good phone when it comes down to just the stability. And honestly, my iPhone SE has been a little bit more stable than my iPhone 6s in recent times. Now, finally, I want to throw in the iPhone 11 Pro. This, in my opinion, was the flagship of flagships, one of the best things Apple has ever made, in my opinion. This phone, first of all, still doing very well on iOS 16. I just did a battery test, and it's actually performing pretty well in battery life on iOS 16, which is insane. But this iPhone was the first one to bring that triple camera setup, which in my opinion is one of the most important things Apple has ever done. That wide and ultra wide sensor is awesome. These are also the first group of iPhones, this and the iPhone 11 Pro Max and the 11, to bring 4K 60 on the front and the back. So we had that type of capability with this device. It was also the first iPhone to bring a frosted glass back as well. I mean, this phone feels so premium. In some ways, it kind of feels up there with my iPhone 13 Pro. Now, the 13 Pro is better, flat sides, super heavy, but this one still feels so good. It still feels like a solid, like slab of gold. You also had a very good display. You also had 4 gigabytes on this iPhone as well, and this phone is still supported with software. So it's still going to be here for quite a bit of time, and this is probably one of the most perfect iPhones Apple has ever made. And the battery life in this iPhone is still super. So that kind of covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that means so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.